Want to output the most damage you can per second? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys my FL4K maximum DPS build that's going to have you laughing at anything that comes your way. This is LaserBolt and welcome to today's video, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at a really good build for FL4K that's going to be letting you output the maximum amount of DPS. In addition to that, you're going to have a really nice survivability stat. We're going to be using something that maybe you haven't seen used before. It's a really good build, and I highly recommend that you guys put this together. And trust me when I tell you guys, give it a try, and you guys will see why I say this build is so OP. Now, before we jump into the build, I do want to remind you guys about our giveaway. We're giving away 4 free copies of Call of Duty Modern Warfare for the system of your choice. To enter and participate, it's super easy. All you got to do is click the link down below where it says Join Bolt Nation, and you guys will be automatically entered. So good luck to everyone that's participating. All right, so without further ado, guys, let's dive into this build. So we're going to be using a couple of stuff from the Hunter tree. We're also going to be doing a lot of stuff from the Master tree, and we're going to be taking one thing from the Stalker tree, but I'll tell you guys exactly how we're going to be able to get that. Let's get ahead and get started with the Hunter tree. We're going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Interplanetary Stalker. This is where we're going to be getting the majority of our damage. This is pretty much the only reason why we're, kind of tapping into this one. In addition to that, guys, we want to also up our ante by gaining an additional stack of bonus for the 3 different types of enemy types, the robots, the humans, and the beasts. So that's the reason why we're doing this as well. We're also going to be jumping a total of 3 points into Leave No Trace. Now, the reason why we're using this one is so we never run out of bullets. This is very important, because it's going to make sure that we get at least an ammo back when we're landing crit shots, which we will be doing a ton of, and you'll understand why once you see the full build put together. Next up, guys, we're going to be taking 3 points from head count. This is going to give us cooldown time reduction, and it's pretty much going to allow us to spam our ability. Once again, we're going to be scoring a lot of crit hits, and our action skills are going to be very active when it comes to this build. We're also going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Two Fang. This is going to give us a chance to get that extra projectile per shot. Extra projectiles per shots are very effective for this build, and knowing which weapons to synergize with are very important, but we'll talk about that a little bit later when we take a look at the gear. Next, we're going to be dumping a total of 3 points into Big Game. What this is going to allow us to do, it's going to really up our ante with our hunter skills. They're going to become more effective and have a longer duration. Then we're going to dump a total of 3 points into the Most Dangerous Game, which is very important for this build, especially with the type of gear that we have set up. What this is going to allow us to do is that whenever we kill a badass, our critical hit damage and our gun damage and our weapon handling is going to get improved, which is really important, and that money always comes in handy. Next, we're going to be dumping 1 point into Galactic Shadow, once again just upping our crit hit damage. Then we're also going to be dumping a total of 2 points into Grim Harvest. What this allows us to do is to get a little bit more gun damage, plus it also allows us to get more action skill damage. It does boost this up quite exponentially, so it's a really good one to have. Last but not least, guys, we're going to be picking up the capstone, which is called Megavore, and this is going to once again allow us to score more crit hit chance. Remember, this build is centered around crit hits and allowing us to output a maximum amount of DPS. So it's very important for us to pick up this capsule. Since we're already here, we're going to pick up the rack attacks, and we're going to be using that since we want to spam our ability. We're also going to be picking the flock and load. It's going to allow us to send an additional rack. And then we're also going to be picking up the rack accelerator. It's going to allow us to increase the cooldown rate and gain an additional shards of our racks, which is really, really cool. Now it's time for us to take a look at the Master tree. For the Master tree, we're going to be dumping 2 points into Ferocity. It's going to increase our pet damage, and our pet is pretty much going to be very active within this build. It's just going to be running around the streets like crazy because we're going to have him mostly active every single time. So he is important to this build. Then we're going to be dumping a total of 3 points into Persistent Hunter. It's going to increase the gun damage and the action skill duration, which is really important. We're trying to get as much gun damage as we possibly can. We're going to be dumping 1 point into Who Rescued Who. What this is going to allow us to do is when our pet takes damage, FL4K is going to regenerate health for a few seconds. Really important, giving us a nice survivability. We don't need too many points in this one. We just need to have 1 just in order to be able to tap into that ability. Then we're also going to be dumping 1 point into He Bites. What this is going to allow us to do is that when the pet gets damaged, and since our pet is going to be out almost every single time, he's going to return some of that damage to the person who's shooting him. And since we're synergizing with the one that we just picked up earlier, which is Who Rescues Who, we're going to be getting our health back, and he's going to be dishing out damage not only by shooting, or attacking the enemy, but by also getting shot at. Now we're going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Frenzy. This is very important and helpful for the pet itself. Basically what this is going to allow us to do is that when we deal damage with our pet, it's going to kind of stack up a thing called Frenzy, and for every Frenzy that he stacks, it's going to increase his damage. What makes this really cool is that since we're already using He Bites, this is going to allow him to take that damage, send that damage out, which is in tail going to synergize perfectly with Frenzy. Now we're going to be dumping a total of 3 points into Hive Mind, and what this allows us to do is that when Flag takes the damage, that damage is going to be shared to the pet, which is really cool. It's going to take a little bit of damage away from us and give us that nice survivability. We're going to be dumping a total of 5 points into Barbaric Yap. What this is going to allow us to do is going to give us pet bonuses. It's pretty much going to increase the power of the pet bonuses granted to Flag, so it increases all the way up to 320, and you're probably wondering, why is it so high? Well, we're going to be talking about the gear mod and why we need this to be really high. Now with the remaining 2 points, guys, we're going to be dumping 1 point into Pack Tactics, which is going to pretty much give us increased damage, and it's going to also give us maximum health for both Flak and our pet, which gives us a ton amount of boost with our damage. And we're going to dump the last point into Shared Spirit. This is just going to give us a really good, nice survivability extra, just in case we're at a very low health. A portion of our damage that we're taking when we're low health is going to be shared to our pet, which is plus 50%, which is kind of a lot actually. Now, we are not going to be picking up anything from the Stalker tree, but we are going to be getting a specific perk based on our gear, and that is All My BFFs, which is going to be primarily focused on giving health regeneration to our pets and also our allies, which makes it really, really good and very viable. Now, as far as the pet we're going to be going with the Guard Skag, and what this is going to allow us to do is going to increase the damage that Flak outputs, which is really important because we want to output as much damage as we possibly can. Now we have the complete build together. Let's take a look at the gear, what's going to tie this all together, and what's going to have you making the enemies tremble in their timbers. So as far as weapons are concerned, your main priority is getting weapons with the following anointed perk. Now I have the Cunning Wagon Wheel, which is an amazing weapon. And this build kind of centers around having anointed weapons with rack builds or rack anointed perks. This one has enemies damaged by the rack attack take 100% increased damage for a short time. Think about it this way. Basically, this gun does 1,200 in damage. We're going to leave it there. For a short period of time, as soon as my rack attack hits, it's going to be outputting 2,400 damage. Now, this is the weapon that I have with this anointed perk. But if you have a weapon that outputs 3,000 damage, 4,000 damage, and you pair this well with this anointed perk, you're going to be doing a ton amount of damage because it's pretty much going to multiply the damage that you're outputting every single time you do this correctly. So the way you want to play and the way you want to strategize with this build is launch your rack attack, have those rack attacks hit a target, aim at that target, and you are going to be doing a ton of damage. This makes a couple weapons very viable as long as you have this anointed perk. Now, there are other anointed perks that work well with the rack attack, but overall, in general, this is by far the best one you have. As you guys see right here, I have another weapon, which is an AR that also has this anointed perk as well. This is at 13. It's going to be doing 2,600 damage as long as I'm firing this weapon as soon as after the rack attack hits. That is what you want to target for. If any of these two weapons interest you, make sure you guys head over to my Discord channel. I'm more than happy to share them with you guys. We have an amazing Borderlands community over there that plays on multiple consoles, Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC. So definitely stop by, check us out. The link is down below in the description. So theoretically speaking, you just want to look for weapons that have this anointed perk, and you guys should be good to go. Now let's jump into the gear. So for the gear, guys, we're using the Transformer. Now, as far as the shield's concerned, you just want to make sure you get a shield that has a really high capacity. That's going to be extremely important for this build. Pretty much theoretically be at 1% health, and that's going to make a couple of our skills already procced. Since we're at low health, it's going to give us a nice boost to crit damage because we are at a very low health. Now for our class mod, guys, we're going with the friend bot. Now I haven't seen too many people put builds like this together, especially with the friend bot. I've seen people put builds with other sets of class mods, but the friend bot seems to be like the lonely guy that never gets picked in the team. And I'm actually picking him and bringing him over, and that's why I want you guys to try this build out, because this class mod is really effective for this particular build. Now the one I have here is when Flag kills an enemy, their pet gains second win. Pet damage is increased by 20%. Remember, like I said earlier, this is going to allow us to have our pet active every single time within their build, and our pet is pretty much going to be reviving itself even though he's down, as long as we're killing people our pet will be alive. Now, as far as stuff that you want to look for the attributes, I have the plus 45 Jacob's weapon critical damage. The reason it's helpful is because I am running Jacob's weapons, but you want to make sure you're running here whatever's going to be helping you. If you're running ARs, you want a plus 31 AR. If you're running SMGs, you want a plus 31 SMGs. You guys get the point. You just want to make sure you guys get as much help as you possibly can from the class mod in the sense of weapon damage. Now, what makes this build extremely helpful, of course, is the Deathless. And the Deathless is really good and very helpful. This is just going to push our health into that 1% of health only. And it's just going to allow us to use the shield. Now, what's important about this, like I said earlier, since we're going to be at 1 health, we're going to be taking benefits of different sets of abilities we picked up that require us to be at low health. And in order for that to proc, that's why we need the Deathless, and that's why the Deathless works so perfectly for this build. Now, for grenades are concerned, we're going to be using the Merv Hex once again. This is the one you want to have, the one that spawns the 6 Merv Hex. Now, there is another one I could recommend here, which is the Ghost Grenade. The Ghost Grenade is actually pretty good, but I love the Anointed perk here that pretty much gives me this grenade back. So it's going to allow me to spam the grenade very frequently, and I'm almost never going to be running out of grenades. Now, what makes this grenade extremely awesome is that it's also going to be generating crit hits, and when we regenerate those crit hits, we're going to be getting some of our abilities. I'm telling you guys, and trust me when I say this, if you put this build together, you guys are not going to want to go to another flag build, except for the other one that I have uploaded, which is a Terror builder, which is just extremely amazing. So let me know what you guys think about this build. If there's anything you guys would change, or you guys anything that you guys think we should move around, please let me know in the comment section down below. We are going to be putting some Terror builds together. Like I said, we have a Flag build, Amara, Moze, and Zane build. Let me know who you like to see first in the comment section down below, and I will catch you guys on the next video.